Hello.
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 Oh, how do you do?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Got good connection. This is useful. It often falls out a bit on Zoom. Have you used Zoom much?
No, I was just sat here waiting. I didn't realise I had to download the app, so I got on it just in time.
Don't worry. So the way it works is that whoever's making the most noise steals the microphone.
Right.
So if you've got, and I might end up needing to do this for myself, if you've got a lot of background noise, you can't see them, but come here. If you've got a lot of background noise and someone's trying to talk, then that will steal the microphone from the other person, and then that kind of makes it hard to hear each other. So if that starts to happen, what we'll do is we'll take it in turns by muting one person and then letting the other person talk. Yeah. All right. So I'll show you that. The mute button, if you click on your own picture.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And to unmute yourself again, you press the unmute button.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So if you find that you're finding it hard to hear me, or if I'm finding it hard to hear you, then we'll play the mute button game. All right.
Yeah.
So we're talking about 3 dogs altogether, aren't we?
Yeah.
So you've got one old boy.
Yeah.
How old is your old boy?
He's 9 next week.
And what breed is he?
He's a whippet.
And he's a male. And is he neutered?
No.
He's an entire male. Okay. And the guy that's the problem, and I've lost your notes. I heard his name a second ago. I had it all up on my computer.
Stag, that one.
Stag, it's all right. I see so many people, I don't keep names in my head.
Yeah.
So Stag is 2 years and 3 or 4 months of age.
Yeah.
And he's a boy. Is he neutered?
No.
Okie dokie. And a 6-month-old little girl.
Yeah.
And is she spayed?
Not yet, no.
Okay. So the reason that you've got in touch is because you're seeing aggression from the middle-aged dog, so Stag, towards the older dog.
Yeah.
But not in the other direction, not towards the younger girl.
Well, I've witnessed that for the first time about 2 days ago, but that was just he grumbled at her. But that's the first time I've seen it towards her.
Okay. So what was the situation with that occurrence? What was actually going on at the time?
Well, when I initially got in contact, I didn't know what the reason was, but it's all sort of like come together now. It's sort of it was a bit of a light bulb moment. I think it always happens around his bed. So, but with my male dog, it's 0 to 100 in a second. There's no warning at all. Because each time that we've thought about it, it says he's walking past the bed. But with her, she approached me, who was near the bed, and he grumbled at her. So it's like I said, when he grumbled at her, that's what it was, like a light bulb moment. I thought, it's the bed.
So that's one of the things we do is we need to narrow it down in theory to figure out what's actually causing the problem. And certainly if you've seen that there's only one specific context, in other words, only one situation where it seems to occur, and the fact that you've got that extra little bit of evidence now suggesting that that is almost definitely the case, then that actually makes it a little bit easier for us, because if we didn't know what the specific context was, that would make it harder for us to kind of manage the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the moment, we're fairly convinced then that the context in which he's acting this way is always near the bed.
Yeah, I think so. Ever since I've seen him grumble at her, I sort of reflected on all the other times that he's done it, and it's when the other dog has approached the bed. So I think it's got to be that.
All right. So when's the first time you've sort of noticed that you've had a problem? How long's it actually been going on?
Well, it's only actually happened 4 times in total. And the first time it happened was maybe about November, December time.
Okay. And did anything else happen in the family or circumstances or?
Well, we brought the puppy home in October.
Okay.
I'm just going to grab my charger. Just one second.
All right, Alice.
Yeah, we brought the puppy home in October, and then it's been, well, 4 incidents since then.
Yeah.
Just shove this in the wall.
So before you got the puppy, were the other 2 dogs living together, you know, for a decent length of time?
Yeah, we've had Stag since he was 8 weeks, so.
And they've always lived together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's time-wise, that could easily be related as well. So how old was the little girl when you got her?
She was 8 weeks as well.
Okay. So she was 8 weeks in October when you got her.
Yeah.
And then 12 to 14, 16 weeks-ish when you saw the first incident.
Yeah. I can't remember the dates exactly, but it was, I think it was a sort of towards Christmas time, but not yet Christmas.
All right. And just double checking back then to the context of these, I just want to make sure if you've got any memory of where she was in relation to them when there were these original outbursts.
Well, one of the time we wasn't present, we was in bed, so I don't know about that time. The last time, which happened last week, I think she was at the opposite side of the room. I was in the room. It was in the kitchen. I was doing something on the side, and I think she was, yeah, still at the other side of the room.
Just making sure she's not part of the pitch. She may have had an effect, but I want to make sure that she's not actually a direct trigger. So we're trying to make sure it definitely is the bed and that we're not jumping to conclusions about it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? All right. So you got her, then the incidences, so you've only had 4, except for this one new one, so 5.
Oh no, that was including.
Okay, included. All right. And so they can't have been happening that often. So we've gone from November being the first one to now February.
Yeah.
So you've got January, February. So you've got a good 8 weeks. So how often are you actually seeing?
Well, I think the last 2 have been within 2 or 3 weeks of each other.
Okay.
But the other 2, there was no real time frame that I thought between the 2. But the last 2 was most definitely about 2 or 3 weeks apart.
Okay. All right. So maybe the occasions are getting closer together. What about the level of aggression then, from your point of view?
It only seems to be that he'll go for him the once. He doesn't keep going back. From when I've witnessed it, he's only gone for him once, done one bite, and then was gone straight back in the bed. Okay.
And the amount of damage done, is that getting worse?
Yeah, the last time he's got a wound to the back of his neck, and he's on been on antibiotics for that. It was only about just bigger than a 5 pence piece, but still. there was a hole there.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I don't mean to keep looking away from you, and it's not that I'm ignoring you, it's because I'm using my one single brain cell.
That's fine.
Keep track of what I want to know as well. Has your 9-year-old that you're aware of got any medical issues?
No, not as far as I'm aware.
Okay. Any signs of reduced exercise recently, weight loss?
No, his weight does fluctuate a bit, but only by about half a kilo either side. But I think that's just him. It doesn't worry me too much.
But that's kind of normal for that
Yeah.
breed. And I live with hunting dogs, so they do drop weight and gain weight easily.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you were to tell me, without thinking too hard about it, if I was to ask you to tell me what kind of person each dog is, and you can be as elaborate as you like or as limited as you like. So if you describe your old dog for me first, what kind of person would you say that they are?
He's quite what I would describe a typical whippet. He's quite a sensitive soul. He's I think he's got a bit of anxiety, but I don't think that's uncommon for the breed. And I just think he's quite a submissive dog, because whenever this does happen, he doesn't retaliate. He'll just run away. So I'd say he's just sort of a bit sensitive. He's quite happy if he's in bed all day, and that's him done. Stag is a much more confident character. He's very social with people as well as other dogs, but he seems to be more social if they're reacting towards him. So if they're looking excited, he'll be excited, or if they're not showing him much interest, then he's not bothered. And Fawn, the puppy's quite similar to him. She's quite social, but everything's quite exciting at the moment still.
Okay. And have you noticed any signs of your girl puppy going through her fear period yet, her teenage fear period?
No, I noticed she was quite scared of buses when she was younger, but I haven't noticed anything as of yet. As she's got a bit old, she seems to be improving with that.
So she should at some point soon hit a bit of a wall where she starts to show fear signs, and that might also add to the mix
Right.
of these personalities and personality changes.
Yeah.
With the going back to the bed then, that's where it seems to be going at the moment. Who if you can remember on all of these occasions, who was actually on the bed to begin with?
Stag was on the bed.
On every occasion?
Yeah, the ones that I've witnessed, he's been in the bed and the other dog has walked past. Okay.
Have you witnessed situations where the other dogs are the first ones on the bed?
Yeah, but he's never reacted aggressively towards him, which I find odd, because if he's in bed, Stag sometimes likes to go in and share a bed with them, but when he thinks it's going to be the other way around, it seems he doesn't like that.
Yeah. So if they're in a bed already, he will then go and lay next to them.
Sometimes, yeah, on an evening, or he would just go to the empty bed because they've all got one each.
Yeah. Okay. So there's 3 beds available. Does he have a specific one that he prefers?
No, they're all the same size with a blanket in. There's no
particular position in the room that he prefers to be in.
No, I wouldn't say. I do put one of them between the sofa and the armchair, but all of them least favour that one.
Okay, so do you think it's a whoever gets there first gets to keep it situation?
Yeah, I would think so.
All right. So 2 years, 3 and 4 months. He should be finished with his fear phase. Should be growing up and being an adult. He is entire. Does he get into scraps with other dogs?
No, I've got absolutely no worries with him with any other dogs.
All right. So, like you say, confident and seems to be quite social. Okay. So the only thing that really changed, so let's have a look back. So if he's 2 years, so he would have been over 2 months 2 years old when you got your new girl puppy, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
We're only February now. Okay. So the only thing as far as we can see that's changed in the situation is that you got the girl, is that right?
Yeah.
How has any changes in your sort of work patterns and lifestyle as a result of COVID and things like that?
No, both me and my partner have worked throughout, so there's been no change at all.
That's the same. Okay. No evidence of them having had fights when you're not there?
No, I don't think so.
Not that you're aware of. You've not
No.
seen any signs of tension between them?
No.
Okay. What is the chance of me, I know it's awkward with the Zoom and it depends on what you're using to do your filming, but what is the chances of me having a look at them together?
Yeah, well, I've got them all here now. See
Yeah.
if I can zoom it. So this one is Stag. Bo is obviously the whippet in the background, and then the pup down here.
Okay. All right. And is Stag usually the one that's standing next to you wanting attention and
no, they all do it.
they take it in turns, so he's
Yeah.
not specifically, he's not kind of clingy or
No.
attention demanding in comparison to the others.
No.
No. Right. And you're sure that you've not seen any other contexts where they seem to be uncomfortable with each other?
No, not what I can think off the top of my head.
All right. So would you recognize though if they were the word uncomfortable? So in other words, an example would be that if your partner came to you for a hug, which is normal in normal circumstances, you might not feel like that hug, so you might pull yourself away or, you know, kind of jitter out of their physical sort of contact.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anything like that with your dogs between each other?
I think the pup maybe, because she will like to share a bed with Bo the whippet a lot. So sometimes I wonder if something has gone on when I've not been there, because they will sort of huddle together and he's at the other side of the room. But then I don't know if that's just where she's chosen to go in bed with. She would never share a bed with him, which makes me wonder what has happened when I've not been there. She will always share a bed with the whippet.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. But when you are around, you don't see them ever sort of being rude, and I mean as in pushing past one another through doorways or getting grumpy with each other in other situations, not necessarily verbally grumpy, but kind of not really taking each other's feelings into account.
No, not really. I don't think so.
So you're fairly convinced it's specifically the bed?
I think so, yeah.
All right. The other thing to double check then is there likely to be any other things which might have been around the bed at the time that he might have felt that he wanted to protect from the other dogs? So things like chew bones, chewies, kongs?
No, we didn't have any toys out at the time. I don't know if it's significant, but the most recent time, so a week ago, we had just been out for that morning and they'd had a long walk, because my partner questioned whether it was he gets like that after he's had a long walk. But I wasn't convinced with that myself. He thought, oh, maybe he just wants to go in bed and chill out. But I wasn't too convinced with that.
Yeah, okay. And did he have reason to sort of say that?
Well, I think the times that he's witnessed it, it's been when we've been out for a long walk or longer walk.
Okay. And he might be right. It's all evidence. We need it. We need all the evidence.
Yeah.
Because if it's related, we need it so that we can change it if necessary. Okay. I've got a load of these for us to go through together. I know you've already filled out a whole load of questionnaires and things for me, but what I'm going to do is we're just going to do a bit of it's a bit complicated actually, so I don't let people do it on their own. Okay, so on here you've got 5 options and 1 I don't really know what to say. Yeah, so I don't know if I can show you that. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Ooh. So down here, is that the wrong way up? It is, because that ain't read, is it? There's gonna be, no, I'll read them out. It's back to front, so that's not going to be any use to you anyway. So you either strongly agree, mainly agree, partly agree but partly disagree, mainly disagree, or strongly disagree. There are your 5 options. And if you can't decide, it's I don't know. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm going to fill this out. We're going to go through these questions. And whereas at the questions, the answers are all for Stag.
Mm-hmm.
So your dog is rarely frightened.
Strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree. Your dog becomes very excited when it is about to go for a walk, when it sees the lead, or when it hears walkies, etc.
Strongly agree.
Your dog is easily startled by noises and or movements.
Strongly disagree.
Your dog is very persistent in its efforts to get to you to play.
Agree.
So is that a partly agree, partly disagree, or mainly agree?
Mainly agree.
Mainly agree. Okay. Your dog shows little interest in its surroundings.
Mainly agree.
Your dog appears nervous and or jumpy for several minutes after it's been startled.
Strongly disagree.
Your dog is easily excited.
Mainly agree.
Your dog has specific fear or phobia.
Strongly disagree. Can't think of any.
Okay. Make sure I'm ticking the right one so that I score it properly at the end. Your dog tries to escape from the garden.
Strongly disagree.
Your dog appears calm in noisy, crowded places.
Mainly agree.
Your dog is full of energy.
Strongly agree.
Your dog is frightened by noises of the television or radio.
Strongly disagree.
Your dog usually appears relaxed.
Strongly agree.
Your dog is lazy.
Mainly agree. Typical for the breed.
Your dog adapts quickly to changes in its environment, for example, being cared by different people, moving house, or a family member leaving home.
I don't know. We're not really had many changes.
All right. You can't answer it. You can't answer it. Your dog appears afraid of the vacuum cleaner or any other household appliance.
I'll go for the middle one because he's got better with that. He did used to be frightened of the Hoover, but now he just stands there.
Okay. Your dog requires a great deal of encouragement to take part in energetic activities.
Strongly disagree.
Your dog persists in being naughty despite being told off for the behaviour.
Strongly disagree.
Your dog appears calm in unfamiliar environments.
Mainly agree.
Let's take the right one because I keep going to the wrong end of the chart. Your dog is very boisterous. So boisterous means high energy.
Yeah, mainly agree.
Mainly agree. Your dog appears unsettled by changes to its routine, e.g. if not fed at the usual time or is left alone for longer than usual.
That's mainly the feeding one. It's like he knows the time. I'll go for the middle one.
Partly agree, partly disagree.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll score that one in a minute. I don't think, from the sounds of it, he's going to score particularly highly on this one as well, but I'm afraid this one's got more pages.
Okay.
It's the same answers. The dog shows extreme physical signs when excited, for example, drooling, panting, rising hackles, urination, licking lips, widening of eyes.
Strongly disagree. He doesn't do any of that.
Okay. When my dog gets very excited, it can lead to fixed repetitive behaviors. For example, an action that is repeated in many ways over and over again, such as tail chasing or spinning around in circles.
Strongly disagree.
I would consider my dog to be very impulsive. For example, sudden strong urges to act, acts without forethought, acts without considering the effects of actions.
Disagree. Mainly disagree.
Okay. My dog doesn't like to be approached or hugged.
Strongly disagree.
My dog becomes aggressive, for example, growls, snaps, or bites when excited.
Strongly disagree.
My dog appears to be sorry after it has done something wrong.
Strongly agree.
My dog does not think before it acts. For example, would steal food without first looking to see if someone is watching.
Mainly disagree.
My dog is very persistent. For example, will continue to do something even if it knows it will get punished or told off.
Strongly disagree.
I know some of them seem a bit repetitive, but it's the way it's asked.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're not, we're getting to your psyche about how they deal with it as well. My dog may become aggressive, for example, growl, snap, bite if frustrated with something.
Strongly disagree.
My dog is easy to train.
Mainly agree.
Mainly.
That's good. Yeah.
My dog is not keen to go into new situations.
Strongly disagree.
My dog takes a long time to lose interest in new things.
I don't know for that one.
All right. My dog calms down quickly after being excited.
Mainly agree.
My dog appears to have a lot of control over how it responds.
Does that mean in terms of how he reacts, like if he's excited or something like that?
Can he control his own sort of urges to act on things? So does he have control over if something suddenly startles him, is he just going to, run away and suddenly, or does he stop and think before he reacts?
Oh, I think I'll go mainly agree.
A dog is very interested in new things and new places.
Mainly agree.
My dog reacts very quickly.
I'll go the middle one, the disagree or agree.
My dog is not very patient, gets agitated waiting for food or waiting to go out for a walk.
Mainly disagree.
My dog seems to get excited for no reason.
Strongly disagree.
Sounds like a perfect dog.
He's not too bad.
Okay, so I can score that one in a bit. That takes a while because it comes with some rather complicated maths. So those two we're going to throw to one side and pretend I didn't even look at them. They're not perfect forms, but they do give us a rough guide. Did Dawn ask you to complete the CBARC online?
No.
All right. So CBARC, I'll just see if I can find it and I'll show you what to look for. Gives you a similar kind of so let me just, I found that, so I'll just share that for you. So you should be able to see that now. Gives you a similar kind of score as we've just done, but it gives you a really nice kind of readout for the personality for your dog. And I think it would be a really useful thing because it's a lot of questions, so there is a bit of time commitment, but it doesn't cost anything for you to do it online. You do have to register, but don't worry about it. They're not going to charge you anything.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's several copies, different people, different companies have copied it. So make sure that you go to the actual original website, which is a university, I think it's Pennsylvania in America, who's running the study. The reason they're running it for free and the reason that they give you these personality profiles for free is because they then keep the information and it's teaching us more about dogs in general and about what's normal behavior for dogs. So there as many thousands of dogs as owners put the details in for, the more information we have, the more we can say, well, that's not on the normal trend. That dog's a little bit off kilter for normal dog behavior. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you get a really nice summary of your dog's personality and a really nice little personality graph of how they are. And the reason that would benefit you is because two things can happen. If you have very similar personality types living together, then sometimes they can rub against each other more. They find it more difficult because they want very similar things. So they're more likely to compete for those very similar things.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of the things that it can help you with. If you have personality types that are very, very different, then that can also cause problems in the same way that it does for us. You know, if you've got somebody that's super high energy and somebody who's a bit more laid back, they're not going to live together very easily and share spaces together very easily. Yeah. So it might pinpoint a few ideas for you, things maybe where you could smooth over some of those difficulties that they have. Now, you haven't mentioned any other situations where you think they might be feeling that kind of discomfort in each other's company, but I have to be careful with that because that may be not knowing you, obviously, not knowing you as a person. I don't know what your level of ability to read dog body language might be and your ability to notice when they're maybe having a bit of a tiff
Mm.
before it's actually a verbal fight.
Yeah.
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 So one of the things we're going to talk about then on that subject is this thing, which I'm just going to show you. Can you see all right? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is called the ladder of aggression, and it's basically that to demonstrate that aggression doesn't just suddenly happen. It doesn't happen out of the blue.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't just suddenly go from 0 to 60. It might look like that to us if we don't see the build up, the steps climbing up the ladder. So from the bottom of the ladder, where there's no signs at all that the dog's feeling uncomfortable, we then start to climb the ladder through these behaviors, and they don't always go in this order. So you can jump steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And dogs who've tried using these signs to try and say to another dog, leave me alone, and have found that they don't work, will tend to jump up to the higher levels. All right. So what you're seeing now is a situation where Stag has tried probably using all of these at the bottom of the ladder, and they've not functioned to ask the other dog to give him that space that he needs and to leave him alone on the bed. So he's had to ramp it up. He's had to go to the top of the ladder. Now, your job as an owner is to try and notice these and interrupt the other dog before they cause Stag to have to go to the bite.
Yeah. The thing that just worries me though is that Bo, the whippet, would never choose to share a bed with him. He doesn't like to share a bed. He prefers to stretch out himself. So in all these instances, he's not been going to the bed. He's been going to the next room.
He's got to go past a bed to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So from Stag's point of view, if his bed is really important to him, to the point where he feels that it makes him uncomfortable if other dogs go past or look as if they might be trying to take it from him, yeah, he's going to start to be sensitive. So a human example, it usually works quite well. I don't know if it'll work for you. If you were in a restaurant, if you can remember the old days when we used to go out, eat out in public, if you were in a restaurant and people kept walking past you and bumping into the back of your chair,
yeah,
okay, you might give the first couple a bit of a dirty look, might you? Yeah, but maybe the fourth, fifth or sixth person that does it, you're going to start to, you can feel your bile rising. You can feel that you're starting to, you know, especially if you've hit yourself in the face with the fork a couple of times as a result of them going past them. So the next time somebody comes past, you're more likely to react. You're more likely, and as you see them coming towards you before they've even got to you, you might say something to them to be careful when they're going past.
Yeah.
So you're proactively trying to prevent them from doing that thing that upsets you. So from his point of view, he's in his bed and that's important to him. He feels comfortable. And he has previously been disturbed by other dogs or people going past. And now he's got to the point where he wants to try and tell them not to.
Yeah.
Even though they're not going all the way over to him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's not that single incident that's the issue. It's the fact that he's got this learned climbing the ladder internally, not just externally, but internally.
Yeah.
That he's more likely to react at each level. So what we might need to consider is the placement of the beds. And I know that's not, you know, everybody's house layout is different, and it's not for me to tell you that you have to have your dog beds in a certain kind of place. But I want you to consider that for him, the bed itself and the space around it needs to feel safe for him.
Yeah.
It needs to be possible for the other dogs to pass without making him feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you do see the puppy, for example, and it might be that your older dog tends to not be as aware, that his footing maybe isn't as steady as it used to be, that perhaps he's sometimes going past and clipping Stag's foot or disturbing him somehow as he goes past.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to make it possible for them to pass without having to get into that kind of concern, so that they don't feel that that's going to happen. Does that make sense? So have a think about your layout. I have to say, to a certain extent, it's normal to want to protect those things that are important to you. So a good human analogy for that would be, do you have a favorite chair?
Yeah.
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 And what happens when you come into your space all ready for your relaxation and somebody else has already sat in your chair? Do you tell them? Do you say, yeah, you know, that's my chair? You know, it doesn't have to be a chair. We all usually have a favorite mug, or we have a favorite TV channel we'd rather be watching at a certain time of day, and we're prepared to have a bit of an argument about those things.
Yeah.
Because they're important to us. Yeah. And this is why I said at the beginning, the fact that there is a definite, or appears to be a definite, context to this aggression, in other words, it all seems to be about the bed, kind of makes it easier to understand, because we can put ourselves inside his mind and say, well, actually, yes, your partner may well be right, in that when he's more tired and needs his rest more after a long walk, he's more likely then to feel grumpy if he thinks he's going to be disturbed from that rest.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to think as owners, how can we, first of all, make it less likely for him to feel that way? In other words, make it feel that he's not going to get bashed into, he's not going to get disturbed. Can we position the bed in a different place, or can we put some kind of a barrier so that the other dogs can't accidentally brush against him as they go past him?
Yeah.
You know, have a think about your own layout. Then we need to think about, if we do see one of the dogs purposefully going over and asking, can they get into the bed with him? We need to be redirecting them and helping them to move away so that they don't force him to climb that ladder.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So redirecting the other dogs. Now, I know you said you don't think the puppy does anymore, but my suspicion would be that when she first arrived, she did. And she tried him, and she kept hassling him, in that spot, his favorite place probably in the world. You know, greyhounds being what they are, and their love of sleep and their love of the laying out and resting.
Yeah.
So I would think that's probably because that's where we're seeing that things started, was seen to be related to when she arrived. So I would imagine she's disturbed him several times on the trot. He's finally losing his rag about it. He's tried being polite about it. He's tried, you know, giving people dirty looks as they've moved towards his table and bouncing off his back of his chair.
Yeah.
And now he's got to the point where he's starting to say, come any further and I'm going to get grumpy with you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we mustn't do at all is tell him off. What I want you to realize here is that dogs prefer not to fight. Generally speaking, they would prefer to live in a harmonious sort of situation. They prefer to find ways to avoid fights.
Yeah.
And if they're getting to the point where they have to use aggression to get their point across, they're not happy. It's not a happy feeling. It feels horrible. Yeah. And telling him off is not going to make him feel better. The risk is that he might associate it back to the same problem. So he might think to himself, when I'm on my bed, my owner is more likely to act aggressively towards me.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, it makes sense when you put it like that.
Yeah. All right. So telling him off won't function to improve the situation. What can help him, though, is if he is able to be on his bed while the other dogs are around and moving around, rewarding him for not acting aggressively. So reward for anything other than getting grumpy. Okay. And a good example for a human with that is we already know that you've got a particular chair that you're willing to defend against other humans. If I kept approaching you and saying, would you like a cup of tea while you're on your chair? Are you more likely to be happy about that approach? Yeah?
Yeah.
And you're going to want me to approach because I'm likely to bring a cup of tea.
Yeah.
You like tea, of course. I mean, it might be coffee, hot chocolate, whatever your beer, wine, whatever your preference is. But you're more likely then to want me to come towards that space. Whereas if I was coming normally to come over there and you felt like I was trying to take your chair away from you, take your position away from you, that you felt like you might have to argue with me or fight about it, then you would be less likely to want me to come towards your chair. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we want to change how he feels about it. We want him to be able to accept movement near the bed. And the way that we do that is we say, when there's a dog moving, you get a bit of food over there on your bed. When a dog walks past you, oh, well done, have a piece of food.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But that doesn't take away from the fact that we need to make him feel safer in that position in the first place. So I do think you have to have a look at your layout. See if you can sort out somehow so that dogs don't have to pass right next to his bed.
Yeah.
That's got a good way of getting round with leaving him a decent space.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if I think I've forgotten anything. So what I would consider, although he's still really young, any behavior change, and it is a significant behavior change because it's one you hadn't seen at all between these two dogs previous to getting the puppy. So it's a significant behavior change. You have to consider whether or not there's any underlying medical reason for it. You always have to. So they found in studies that they've done fairly recently, they found that up to 80% of behavior problems have an underlying medical cause.
Right.
Okay. And that usually about a quarter of those is a pain-related cause. So the reason I'm suggesting that that might be the case is this scenario where your partner suggested that it seems to be more likely to happen after he's had a significant amount of exercise. It might be that what you're seeing is a result of either joint or muscle pain that's making him feel that little bit grumpier.
Yeah.
And when we're in pain, we don't react normally, do we? We're more likely to be snappy. We're more likely to be reactive, for want of a better word. You're more likely to snap at your partner if you've got a headache. You don't really want to act normally. You don't want to have a conversation. You just want to take yourself out of everything.
Yeah.
So In which case you might consider looking for any signs of pain. So signs of pain would be things like not moving normally, so not moving equally with your body. So maybe limp when you're moving, or not holding your body the way that you normally hold your body. So maybe holding the head down and the shoulders hunched a little bit, or the tail carriage being lower than normal. Yeah?
Yeah.
So have a look for things like that and open your eyes to the idea that it might be something related to it. Okay, but you can just get muscle pain if you've done a lot of running, you know.
Yeah.
So it could just be a transient thing, but it's definitely worth investigating if it really is related to those long run exercises, and whether or not, because they quite often will get things like back injuries because of the way that they're built and the way that they run. They really turn their spines into proper curves, don't they, when they're up, and then they completely stretch out. So quite often in those sort of mid-spine region, they can develop these problems between the discs, between the vertebrae in that central part of their back.
Yeah.
Also, toes on greyhounds, very easily damaged and extremely painful if they've been damaged. So, anything coming up now from what we've said so far that's sort of made you think that we're on the right track, and anything that's made you think we're maybe on the wrong track?
No, I think all what you said is making sense so far. Yeah.
Anything you want to add, or because obviously I've got to make sure I don't want you to go away thinking she's not told me anything useful. I don't know what to do.
No, it just worries me why he just seems to react straight away with the male dog, but he warns the puppy.
All right, because your puppy's still got what they call the puppy license.
Okay.
All right, so just like we will tend to about our kids when they're being really horrible and naughty, oh, he's only 6.
Yeah.
He doesn't know better. Well, that's an innate species response. The younger animals are allowed a certain amount of rope. You know, they're allowed to.
He still knows that she's young and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, you might have a degree of the fact that she's female.
Yeah.
And she's still entire. And keeping her on the good side is a good plan if he plans on mating with her at some point in the future.
Yeah, hopefully not.
You know? Same as us, you know, you don't cut your nose off to spite your face. You're not horrible to somebody you're attracted to because there's a chance that you might be in with them later on.
Yeah.
So there can be a degree of that, the fact that she's a different sex to him. So, you know, and I'd be very careful because at 6 months, it is possible for her to come into season at any time now.
Yeah, she's booked in for a pre-season spay, so we're not having none of that.
No, none of that.
There was, as I've like discussed with people, it's obviously going to be brought up. There's suggesting having him castrated. I'm not against it, but I don't think that's going to solve the problem.
I think there's an old sort of there's an old philosophy that castration was a blanket fix for all behavior problems.
Yeah.
And it's a very sort of sticky idea that keeps recirculating. And
it's not taking away the reason why he feels like he needs to do that.
No, absolutely not. What castration might do is reduce his confidence to act on those feelings.
Right.
Okay. So that would be the only potential benefit. And one of the reasons I was asking how he got on with other dogs is sometimes entire males can kind of go around, I am the big I am, and start fights and cause fights. But it doesn't sound like he's that kind of person.
No.
So,
and it's a bit awkward that all our friends have bitches, so he's not really got any male dog friends. So I don't actually know how he would act around another male dog. It's just a bit of an inconvenience that literally all our friends have got girls, so I don't know what he'd be like.
Yeah. Okay, the only other argument for castration would be that if there are two entire male dogs in a household, if they were constantly disagreeing about multiple different subjects, then castrating one of them would change the balance between them a little bit and take some of the confidence away from one of the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, but because this is very, or appears to be very context specific to that particular situation, to that bed situation, then I can't see the benefit of castration unless you start to notice that it's happening in other contexts as well.
Right.
Where
Okay.
it would then be a problem between the two males rather than being a problem around a resource, around a particular preferred object or item. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I just think it's not going to change why he feels this way. Like I said, I'm not against it, but I just don't think it doesn't fix everything, does it?
No, the only thing, as I say, could possibly change his confidence to act on those feelings.
Yeah.
More testosterone, you're more likely to feel that you can say something. Again, I'm not sure it has any relation to your problem at all, but as your older dog, especially at 9, is still entire, what can happen, I don't think this is what you've got a problem with, but what can happen is the older dogs can develop tumors in the gonads, in the testicles, can overproduce hormones, so they can start smelling and acting differently as far as the other dog's concerned, and that can make the other dog feel uncomfortable and therefore more likely to react to them. Yeah, so I would definitely be considering a medical checkup for your older dog.
Okay.
Anyway, because again, as we say, behavior problems, they've got a very noisy bed. I don't know if you can hear, but they're shuffling about on their bed. Behavior problems are more likely than less likely to have some kind of medical issue behind them. And being got somebody who's over middle age, 9, I don't is desperately old for a greyhound, but is over middle age.
Yeah.
Maybe you ought to double check that there isn't anything going on that might be having an effect. Yeah. And I don't think it is, but I think for peace of mind, I always get a brain worm with regards to sudden changes. They've been living together perfectly well, and then suddenly you've got this problem. Something has to have changed. Now you have a significant change. Will you lay still? You have a significant change in the fact that you've added another dog to the mix.
Yeah.
And that change in dynamics of having another dog in the mix will make everybody a little bit kind of out of kilter. Same as we are. If somebody came to live with you now, moved into your spare room, you're not going to act like yourself for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, until you've really got to know them and their habits and how they're going to move around you, how are you going to organize your life around the fact that things have changed. And dogs are the same.
Yeah.
So does that leave you feeling like you've got something you can go on with?
Yeah, I think we've obviously got to look at the setup and where we can put the beds and things. And I suppose we've just got to make him feel comfortable whenever the dogs are approaching him, really. And
you're not gonna be reinforcing his aggression. if you think about it, if you see a dog moving towards him and you throw the treat so that he has to look away to pick up the treat, by the time that other dog's gone past and he's looked round again, the original problem's finished, isn't it? It's over.
Yeah. Mm.
So I would want to know, if it was my own dog, I would want to know, is there any evidence of problems when you're not there? And the way that you do that is you set up a video camera to watch them.
Mm.
See what they're actually doing in the day or in the times when they're not actually with a human.
Yeah.
Get your evidence there, because it might be, for all we know, that as soon as you turn your back, the puppy's bouncing all over his head and he never gets any rest and he's not allowed to be on his own in his bed, and you know.
Yeah.
And the only time, so we need to know, is there other things that we're not aware of? Bits of information that may be affecting the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So I think I'm done, other than I need to do the scores on here. If I feel that they're significant, anything that I find on this, then I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I do normally write a little report for you and for your vets who referred you. It sometimes takes me a little while to get to that because it's not easy to fit the time in to do the typing and thinking and stuff together.
Yeah.
So I need to know that you feel, as you are, that you've got enough stuff to be thinking about and going on with, that you actually feel like you've got somewhere to go with it.
Yeah.
Got your money's worth, basically. I don't want you to look back and go, well, I paid money for that. What do I get?
Yeah. No, I think we'll just have, it's just like when we're reinforcing the sort of positive behavior when the dogs are approaching, the thing that I don't know if it would make the situation worse is that the puppy's obviously very excitable at the moment. If she sees that I'm giving treats, then that's when she'll get a bit silly. So I think we're just going to have to assess the situation, maybe get her out the way altogether.
Use food to guide her past, so she's already busy. She's not bothered about the bit that he's getting.
Yeah.
He's already on one hand walking past. Shall I show you?
So for example, walk her past.
Yeah, I've brought dogs with me. Shall I show you what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
See if I can change my angle on here a bit for you so you can see. Oh, don't know how much you're going to see because I can't. The desk is cutting out a lot of your view.
No, it's all right.
So here's some dogs. There's some free dogs keeping me company in the office just now. Wonder if I can turn that up just a little. It's a little bit awkward. There we go. All right. And here's some food. And let's imagine we've got two dogs over there on the beds, and I want to move this one past. I can make a gap by keeping this one on this side of me. Yeah, and walking past. At the same time, rewarding those.
Yeah.
Staying on that side.
Yeah.
I wanted to go this way past. She's already on this hand. She's already looking at this piece of food on my hand. And I can reward him for staying there and her for staying there. And we're over here.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was just thinking about how to reward him without her getting a bit carried away. But I suppose we could do it that way because she's very food orientated. So
yeah, if she's already fixed on a piece of food in your hand, she might not even notice that you're tossing food to the other.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I mean, it's horrible especially if you've had dogs living together really well, which you have for a long time, you know, over 2 years. You've had two dogs share a space and been good together. And then suddenly you seem to have this really horrible situation, and they sound horrible. You know, dogs, when they're telling each other off, it's very loud. Yeah.
Yeah. And my other dog is very vocal when he's hurt as well, so that makes the whole thing
horrible.
worse as well.
Yeah. And what I have to say though is, if they're being aggressive loudly, they're trying to make a point with an argument. They're trying to get their point across.
Yeah.
If they're being aggressive silently, then they really mean it. They're at the end of their tether and they're going to do damage.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah? So if you're hearing a lot of growling and, I told you not to do that anymore, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want it to keep happening. I'm not saying it's a good thing from the point of view of, oh, let it happen, it's not a problem. It is a problem because he's had to feel that way to have to act that way. So I don't want him to have to feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, he's not just going, don't walk next to my bed anymore, otherwise I'm going to stab you to death.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing that he's not got to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think we've got some bits to work on.
All right. So in your little write-up, I will include a link to the ladder of aggression. I am going to include a couple of links to body language, sort of YouTube body language videos that people have done, because I think not everybody is a body language, a dog body language expert, you know, and sometimes even me, after many, many years of studying it and watching dogs and supposedly being a dog geek, I've had my friends say, have you seen that your maybe, or whoever is saying such and such to so and so, and I'm like, no, I never even noticed that.
Yeah.
You know, but that can sometimes be because you're living with them all the time. You almost become blasé about it, same as you do with your partner. You don't always notice when they're rolling their eyes anymore.
Yeah.
You don't always notice when they're tutting under their breath. So but I will give you that link, because I think it's important to be looking for any other signs that might not relate to that specific context, especially.
Yeah.
So is there any other signs that they're not quite as happy living together as they used to be? Because it might be that we need to have a look at changing things or helping them to deal with those things as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So you get a bit of a write-up for yourself, which will have a few links in it, and just going over what we've said. You're going to get a copy of this interview video, so you can watch that back whenever you like.
Yeah.
I do ask that you don't share it. It is private, just for you.
Yeah.
If you do find that you've disagreed with, or you dislike any of the advice you get, please come back to me primarily, rather than going to someone else and saying, oh, she was rubbish, because I'm not going to learn if I'm not told. And I'm not going to get better at doing my job if I don't get the feedback from other people that, you know, whether they feel they've had their money's worth or not.
Yeah.
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 And obviously, if you're not happy, do let me know, because there's always going to be something else. If it doesn't improve, if what I've asked you or told you today doesn't make the situation better, don't just think, oh, that was rubbish, that advice was rubbish, or I can't fix this. It will be that we haven't got enough information yet to have made the right choices. It will be that we haven't investigated it far enough yet.
Yeah.
There will be something we've missed.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I'll let you go unless you're worried about anything that you want to bring up for me.
No, I think we've covered everything that I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know where I am. You have paid for additional help and advice. You don't have to keep paying more money. If it's just a case of, I don't know if I'm doing this right, or this is happening now, what do I do? As long as it's not a full new behavior, as long as it's still related to the original problem, or you think it might be, then it's all included. Any extra help
Yeah.
is included. So you just get back to us via email, or however it is you contacted Dawn originally.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
I'll say goodbye.
Thank you.
See past your dog's nose.
I know. This is him telling me he knows it's 5:30. It's dinner time now.
Well, they normally start, if they don't get fed until 7:30, but they normally start nagging about 6.
Yeah.
Come here, come and say hello. Come on then. Yeah. Where's my Twiggy? Come on, puppy. Come on. Come on. Yeah.
And they all know. They're all 3 of them are here now. We're all waiting.
So these are my sight hounds. They're Podenco crosses, although he's got spaniel ears.
Oh.
And then my other girl, she's 13. She's 13, so she's not very good at jumping up. So she's probably, oh, here we go.
Oh, she should get up.
She can't stay up for long, it's too hard. But yeah, she's a right grump. She tells them off quite often in different contexts. But it's a case of knowing your dog as well, and knowing how hard they will bite and how much risk of escalation and things like that. And I think we don't want to be like you've got at the moment. You've got where we are getting in. This is her doing a demo. She's presently telling the youngest off because he's getting excited and making the middle child play with him.
Another thing that I was...
Hang on, I'll show you. No, we've all
I should stop now. Another thing I was worrying about was, obviously, with us introducing another dog into the home, would it be natural that they would sort of re-establish sort of the hierarchy or whatever? Is that linked to this, or is that something that they would just do amongst themselves, or is that even a thing?
Yeah, it's not really a thing.
No.
Recent studies have, so is a hierarchy a hierarchy? Recent studies have pointed to the way that dogs organize themselves is more like a family or friendship group. It's more like the way that we establish our hierarchies. So you do have a hierarchy insofar as you have a favorite place that you like to sit, a favorite bed that you prefer to use. You're going to get upset if somebody else just suddenly says, I want to have your bedroom now. Yeah, like children. If you suddenly swapped their bedrooms, all hell would break loose because you didn't ask them, you know. So they're much more like that than the original sort of, the guys who originally started talking about wolf pack hierarchies and things. They got it all wrong, and they've admitted they got it all wrong, and they've rewritten the books.
Right.
So even wolf packs don't have alpha males and beta females and all of that malarkey. They are families. They are all related dogs. And they are set out, mum and dad, kids, younger kids, aunties and uncles. Is there a hierarchy? To a degree, and the hierarchy is who is most likely to be confident enough to have the other dogs feel that they need to be respectful. Okay, so that would be when you were a teenager, would you think twice before you back chatted your dad?
Yeah.
Was that because he was horrible to you? You don't have to.
You've just got that respect for them, haven't you?
Yeah, you don't have to answer the questions, but it's not because they act aggressively, it's because they are worthy of respect. So generally, the dog who is the loudest and the most aggressive isn't the most confident. So isn't actually the more dominant dog. The one who's quieter, calmer, can get what he wants without having to fight about it, is the more confident dog.
So that's probably like a common misconception, isn't it? They think the more louder one would be top dog, so to speak. No.
And I mean, this little thing you've just seen with these lot, the reason that maybe is telling the younger one off for getting overexcited is because there's been so many times when I've then had to get out of my chair, go and calm him down, and she's trying to prevent me from doing that.
Yeah.
So she's taking it on as her job. Don't do that, otherwise the owner will get upset.
Yeah.
And that's not her being bossy, that's just her trying to be useful. I think that it's something that she could do that would help keep everything calmer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, that dogs can sort of do those sort of things. But does it mess up the family dynamics having a new dog come in? Yes, it absolutely does.
Yeah.
So it's the word hierarchy that's wrong, not the question of does it change things. Yes, it absolutely does.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's got to find their own new normal in that new setup.
Yeah.
Great. So is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any others? If you think of anything else, just message, you know, don't come back. If something occurs to you, even 10 minutes time, write it down, and either via messenger, which I think you've got in touch with us at the time, messenger, or via email if I don't know if you've done that or not actually.
No, but I'm sure I'll find it.
Don't worry. Stick it all in messenger, it'll arrive, and Dawn just redirect. If I don't notice them, Dawn just redirects them to me and says, can you respond to this, please? Yeah. All right, so I'll get you a letter out and a letter to you vets as soon as I can, and those little references and things I might stick on messenger, but I'm going to go rest now because I've had a full on.
All right, thanks ever so much for your help.
Yeah, I hope I have been useful to you. I really hope.
But yeah, I'll definitely get back if we're not making any progress, but I'm feeling hopeful.
Good. Bad. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.